Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather on the 12th day of June, 2021. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, we've got on the hazardous weather graphics, no watches, warnings, or advisories again. Probably won't be for the next several days or beyond. No big storms expected, no heavy rains or advisory level winds anywhere around the state, so watch, warning, advisory free. Probably start running a string of these as high pressure kind of takes over the pattern across especially the interior here during the upcoming week. Otherwise, satellite imagery already showing dry conditions, a lot of sunshine, especially to start the day over the central interior, Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula, Copper River Basin, Susitna Valley, right up into the interior there, all the way to the Brooks Range. In fact, a fair amount of sunshine, eastern north slope on out to the Arctic coast. You can see the open water there off the eastern Arctic coast. And then clouds, a lot of clouds out over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, right into Bristol Bay and the southwest interior, western interior. Pretty cloudy, some sun breaks in areas there. Looks like eastern Norton Sound, Seward Peninsula area, Selawik Valley, Kobuk Valley, some sun breaks, Kodiak Island as well, but shower activity and areas of light rain for the Bristol Bay Area, Alaska Peninsula, on out to the eastern Aleutians. But amounts pretty light around the state. Let's see, take a look at my sheet here. For example, 0.05 of an inch of shower activity this afternoon at Tok and Chicken, with scattered showers there from the Yukon River developing on down across the upper Tanana Valley, 40-mile country to about the north slopes of the eastern Alaska Range. Lower to mid 70s, Fairbanks this afternoon with sunshine, upper 70s in the Yukon Flats and Copper River Basin where Chokyitzik, 77 degrees at 3 p.m. along with Chitina there in the east central Copper River Basin, while Talkeetna, Susitna Valley, 75 degrees, about the same in Big Lake there, and lower to mid 70s right down Palmer, Anchorage, into the Kenai Peninsula with just about maximum sunshine. Prince William Sound, a lot of sun there, and even over the Panhandle, central southeast coast, looked like it was mostly sunny today and partly mostly sunny in the south, but the northern area is still mostly cloudy, maybe a few lingering showers there, but nothing too significant, and that's going to kind of be the trend. May lose the showers altogether tonight or into tomorrow for the Panhandle, give or take, maybe, at least for a short period of time, and a lot of clouds will remain out over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians as well. And looking at the chart today, we can see that very weak low out over the western Bering there, and that trying to push some precip toward the Pribilofs, but mostly to the north there. And that weak trough again brought the light shower activity and rain with, again, heaviest rainfall amount, Igagik, 0.14 of an inch in the last 12 hours. Otherwise, let's see, Cold Bay had 4 or 0.05 of an inch by comparison there. And a few scattered showers popping up around southwest Kodiak Island and sun, south central Alaska, Kenai Peninsula. Showers on the increase there here across the interior, especially the Alaska Range. Possible thunderstorm could still develop there. Any one of the taller clouds, their eastern interior on down to the eastern Alaska Range and maybe the central western Alaska Range as well. I don't think there'll be any in the Talkeetnas or Chugach Mountains, maybe an isolated shower, and that's about it. And for tonight, again, dries out over the southeast coast. Call it partly and mostly cloudy. No shower activity. Hopefully it all ends and is restricted over in Canada or to the south. High pressure settles in over Bristol Bay at the surface, so look for low clouds and fog under that high, especially along the coast and in the offshore areas, with variable clouds over the interior. Mostly cloudy, safe for the Yukon Delta, Norton Sound, a few breaks still for the Seward Peninsula. System out in the Bering Sea looking a little better. The front really not that strong, but will be a band of precipitation associated with it, extending weak trailing edge there into the western Aleutians. Chance of rain enters the forecast of the Pribilofs late tonight, possibly. Winds no factor at all with that system, and some precipitation chances extend all the way up across St. Lawrence Island to the Bering Strait. Weak trough, chance of rain, fog, drizzle at times for the central western Arctic coast, dry on the east side. And let's see, warm front tries to spread some light precipitation up to the central Aleutians late tonight. May not make it though, definitely won't make it to the Fox Islands. And for tomorrow, definitely will make it during the day, probably in the morning hours. In fact, the entire day looks occasionally wet and cloudy with some fog for Adak and Atka, and throw some possible small craft, well, it will be small craft advisories for Fox Islands tomorrow. Southeast winds 25 knots, say, give or take. Periods of rain and fog. IFR go along with that. For the flying conditions, chance of rain, extreme western Alaska Peninsula, False Pass, for example, won't make it to Cold Bay, I don't think, but you'll see an increase in the southeast winds there. And otherwise, dry for Bristol Bay, another sunny day for Kodiak Island, or it will be a sunny day for Kodiak Island, southern Alaska. Interior will start out with the most sunshine, and then as the day progresses, afternoon buildups will result in some shower activity, isolated thunderstorm, central eastern interior. Better chance of light rain and fog with that system now. St. Lawrence Island, the northern Bering system, Yukon Delta coast across Seward Peninsula, chance of showers with a trough along the Brooks Range, but the Arctic coast north slope dry with fairly light winds. Outlook for Monday, chance of showers for the eastern north slope, possibly reaching all the way to the eastern Arctic coast, but whatever does will be quite light. And a chance of rain now extends from the western Arctic coast southward, band there in basically south to north flow with a couple of low centers. We've got a chance of rain all the way across the Seward Peninsula, down across the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, Nunivak Island, to the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. A little bit of a gradient there for the Alaska Peninsula, so probably looking at 25 to 30 knot winds from the southeast. A break for Adak and Atka under a weak ridge ahead of that warm front that'll spread a widespread area of light rain and fog into the western Aleutians. High pressure in the Gulf of Alaska, light winds, chance of showers for the southeast coast. Lows tonight, 45 to 50 for the Panhandle. In fact, southern Alaska, south central, 45 to 50, mid-40s Kodiak Island, lower to mid-40s the Aleutians, lower 40s for the Bering Sea, mid-30s St. Lawrence Island, western Seward Peninsula, 30 to 35 for the Arctic coast and North Slope, and 45 to 55 in the interior. Highs for tomorrow. Another day, much like today, 70s to lower 80s possibly there for the Yukon Flats, mid to upper 70s, central interior areas, Kuskokwim Valley, lower to mid 70s, and 70 to 80 for the Susitna Valley, as well as the Copper River Basin. Kenai Peninsula, 60s near the inlet to mid 70s, away from the inlet into the interior of the peninsula, and pushing 70 over the southern panhandle. Otherwise, highs tomorrow, more sunshine, looking at definitely into the 60s. Lower 50s for the Alaska Peninsula, and 40s for the Pribilofs and western Aleutians. Lows the following morning near freezing along the Arctic coast, otherwise in the mid-50s. Those are definitely warmer there in the central interior. Mid-50s for your lows or lower to mid-50s, 45 to 50 southern Alaska, and highs pushing. There's the 80s finally showing up in the eastern interior, Fairbanks, Fort Yukon.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Moving on to first line weather graphic Sunday morning. IFR central eastern Beaufort Sea coast, then becomes VFR as you head south across the north slope, Brooks Range VFR through the interior, then south of the Alaska Range, central Copper River Basin, some marginal VFR areas there, IFR along the North Gulf Coast, southern Kenai Peninsula, VFR, Kodiak Island, except down toward Sitkinak, Akiak area. And then solid IFR, nothing but for the Aleutians and the Bering Sea to the Bering Strait. Panhandle, marginal VFR with some VFR over the inside waters and some IFR, Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, Elfin Cove to about Yakutat. Afternoon, that pulls off the coast and becomes VFR for the southeast coast. That maybe some lower stuff along the south coast, right along the immediate coastline, but not too far inland. And for the Copper River Basin, Talkeetna Mountains, Prince William Sound, marginal VFR, Eastern Alaska Range, possible marginal VFR. Otherwise, good VFR in the interior, Cook Inlet, and even the southwest interior, but marginal VFR pushing in across the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, IFR into Norton Sound. Marginal VFR Seward Peninsula, right along the northwest coast, Arctic coast, mostly areas of marginal VFR on the west side, areas of IFR on the east side. North Slope, though, and Brooks Range, VFR. No change in the Bering Sea. No change in the Bering Sea from Monday morning as well. Just about all solid IFR, except that zone's a little more less extensive along the southwest coast. And some IFR now up across Montague Island, southern Prince William Sound, but remaining west of the Panhandle. But marginal VFR pushing into the southern Panhandle, Prince of Wales Island, and down toward the Dixon entrance area, possibly over to Stewart and Hyder. IFR, Central Eastern Beaufort Sea Coast, VFR in the interior. And for the afternoon Monday, IFR off the eastern Beaufort Sea Coast, marginal VFR right along clinging to the coastline there to about Point Barrow, and to about the same extent on the west side, IFR along the immediate coastline from Cape Lisburne, Point Hope, Kivalina, and then very close to the Seward Peninsula, but staying offshore. Bering Sea still pretty IFR socked in, except some marginal VFR south central Bering Sea, maybe the central Aleutians, possibly. IFR, Gulf of Alaska to just south of Cape St. Elias, marginal VFR Prince William Sound, marginal VFR in the forecast for Cook Inlet, as well as the Panhandle and Kodiak Island. Passes Anatuvik, VFR for the day on Sunday. Same thing for Adigan. Really nice day coming up, probably Monday as well. And Lake Clark and Merrill, good VFR. Also for Rainy, VFR. Windy, either approach, looking good, wide open. And ceilings visibility is unlimited for Isabel until the afternoon. May see some cumulus buildups, maybe a few thunderheads, but nothing, just a risk of a thunderstorm possible. Isolated risk. Right at the pass itself. And Mentasta, same forecast. Good VFR. Tanita, Portage, marginal VFR to start, becoming VFR probably into the afternoon, even on the eastern entrance. Chilkoot and White, marginal improvement to VFR. Freezing levels, kind of a slack gradient here, 6,000 feet or so, central interior. A little cooler there in northern Bering Sea. Much warmer over the southern Bering and Aleutians, 12,000 feet, Adak and Atka. Icing, possibly some icing for the Fox Islands, northern Bering Sea, St. Lawrence Island, Seward Peninsula, grazing the Yukon Delta coast on up with that southerly flow in the upper low, right up to the northwest coast, and possible mixed icing over the southeast interior, and just grazing the southern Panhandle. Jet stream showing ridging there just south of the Fox Islands, and the flow coming up and over that, 75 knots, southerlies, Adak and Atka. And over the Bering Sea, west-southwest, 65 to 85 knots, 50-knot northwesterlies really pick up there along Kodiak Island. And at 9,000 feet, 30 to 45-knot winds northern Bering Sea to the Bering Strait area. And southwest 25 knots for the Fox Islands, light over the interior with basically high pressure, light for the Panhandle as well. And at 3,000 feet, 25 to 35 knots, or 25 to 45, call it there, a couple of low centers near Atka, west of St. Lawrence Island, and basically south flow there, light over the interior, turbulence-wise. Not too bad. Light to isolated moderate chop, Fox Islands, Alaska Peninsula, especially for small aircraft, and St. Lawrence Island, as well as the western Seward Peninsula and the Bering Strait, Teller, Wales, Tin City, those locations. Smooth everywhere else. After the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Ahoy, Cadets, and welcome to the Okeanos Explorer. I'm Debbie, and I'm an ocean explorer. I work for NOAA, which stands for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Together with many other people, I work on this ship, and we explore the deep sea. How do we do that? Let's go find out.
Octonauts, let's do this. Yow!
The pressure in the ocean is so great humans can't go there, so we send a special robot. Octocadets, meet Deep Discoverer, our special robot for ocean exploration. And this is Chris. He works with Deep Discoverer. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Debbie.
Can you tell us about what Deep Discoverer does?
Sure. So this is Deep Discover, and today we're going to take Deep Discover up to 4 miles down to the ocean floor so you can see what Deep Discoverer sees.
And how do we do that?
We do that by using these powerful cameras and powerful lights.
That's neat. And what is that?
And this is our manipulator arm, and we use this arm to take biological and geological samples that we store up front in these boxes, and so that we can bring them to the surface so scientists can analyze them.
Wow, isn't that cool, Octocadets? Wow! Now that we know more about the special robot that explores the seafloor, let's find out more about the ship. Octocadets, let's do this. Now let's find out what we do with D2's video. Come along. This is the control room. A lot of things about D2 happen in here. Behind me you see the pilots. They steer D2 on the seafloor. And over here we have scientists. Hi Steve and Stacy.
Hi, this is Steve and I'm Stacy and we are marine biologists.
Can you tell us about the work you do here?
We actually look at the videos collected by the robots and we try to identify organisms along with other scientists on the shore.
What are you looking at right now?
We're actually looking at a sea star.
That's so awesome, thank you. Now let's look at how we make maps of the seafloor.
Excellent, Quasi. A good map helps you to get to places you've never been.
We also have a scientist on board who makes maps of the seafloor. Hi Derek.
Hi, Debbie.
Can you tell us about your work?
Sure. My job on the ship is to make maps of the ocean floor. We do this by sending sound from the bottom of the ship. It echoes off the seafloor and comes back to the ship. And then from that, we can make maps like this. So this is what it would look like if you were able to drain the water out of the ocean and actually see what the landscape looked like down there. We use these maps to give the vehicles a place to dive, and they explore further, just like octonauts do.
Status report, Dashi.
We're right on course, Captain.
So earlier we learned that D2 picks things up from the seafloor with his manipulator arm. Let's find out what we do with those samples. This is the wet lab, and Megan spends a lot of time here. Megan, can you tell us about your work?
I am the sample data manager, so when the ROV comes up, we go out and we collect the samples from the ROV and we bring them in here. And we try to record as much information about them as possible, everything from the details about what they look like to the environment conditions where they were found. How cold was it, for example? Then we come in and we take imagery using this microscope, and we take pictures using this camera as well. And then after we get all the pictures taken and we're ready, we prepare them for shipping to other scientists and museums so more science can be done, such as the squat lobster, this cup coral as well.
And what is that?
This is a piece of coral, or several pieces of coral, that we think might actually be a new species. So we are going to send it out for a comparison to existing species to see if we discovered something new.
Wow, you have a really cool job.
Thank you.
Fascinating. I've read about this, but I've never actually seen it.
An important part of how we explore the ocean is keeping in touch with scientists and octocadets on shore. Let's go see how we do that. Rosemary, could you tell the octocadets a little about what that dish does?
Sure. My name is Lieutenant Rosemary Abbott. I'm the operations officer aboard the Okeanos Explorer, and that is our VSAT. It stands for Very Small Aperture Terminal, and inside that satellite dome is a very powerful dish antenna that allows us to communicate with shore and share video in real time. The technology is called telepresence.
Wow, that is so interesting. Thank you, Rosemary. Now I'm getting really hungry. Let's go to the kitchen and talk about food. This is the ship's kitchen, also known as the galley. And this is Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Debbie.
Michael is the chief steward on this ship, and he keeps 49 people fed for 3 weeks at a time. Michael, how do you do that?
With a lot of care and with the help of 3 crew members. I have myself, the chief steward, a chief cook, and a second cook. And we just do it with a lot of love and care and make sure that everybody's happy and well fed. We use up to 150 dozen eggs per trip, up to 100 gallons of milk, a lot of veggies and fruits, a lot of snacks. Everybody's very pleased with what we usually put out. We also make sure that we do it in a loving way, in a sanitary way, in a safe way that keeps everybody from getting any tummy aches.
I'm about to enter the ship's bridge. It's like the Octopod's headquarters.
Octonauts to the HQ.
Ahoy, Captain.
Ahoy, Debbie.
Hi, Eric.
Hello.
Octocadets, meet Eric Johnson, the commander of the ship. Eric, can you tell us about what you do up here?
Absolutely. Hello, Octocadets. My name's Eric Johnson. I'm an Corps officer, and I'm the captain of the Okeanos Explorer. Welcome to my office. This is where we drive the ship. This is where we control the operations. We run the propellers that are underneath us in the back to the wheel up here at the front, which is where we steer. It's a pretty cool job. It's very exciting, and it's pretty beautiful around here as well.
So, Octocadets, now you know a little bit about the ship and how we explore the deep sea. I hope you enjoyed our time together. I'll see you next time.
Debbie, safety first.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Taking a look at yesterday's sea ice analysis, you can see still a band of thin ice there in Norton Sound and some heavier ice in around St. Lawrence Island. And moving to today's analysis, you'll see something of a change, that we've got actually the area in Norton Sound gone, and a lot less of the ice now just on a little bit on the north side of St. Lawrence Island, and so really just about gone south of the Bering Strait now, and continue to slowly melt out north of the Bering Strait. Moving on to coastal water forecasts, we've got northerly winds of 10 knots for the south coast, seas at about 5 feet, and not too much stronger in the north, just 10 to 15 knots for the north coast, seas 5 feet. Inside waters, central and northern, variable winds at 10 knots with slight seas, northwest 15 for Clarence Strait, and seas at 3 feet. Outlook for Monday, west-northwest 15 knots for the north coast with 3-foot seas, and south or east-southeast at 15 with 3 to 4 foot seas on the south coast. Clarence Strait, Stevens Passage, looking for southeast winds around 15 knots and seas not too bad at 3 feet. And even calmer conditions in Lynn Canal, south winds at 10 with slight seas. Prince William Sound, variable to north winds at 10 knots tomorrow. Otherwise, the North Gulf Coast, call it variable at 10 with 4 to 5 foot seas. Barren Islands, southwest at 10, seas 4 feet. Kamishak Bay, south at 15. And Southern Cook Inlet will see south winds at 20 knots tomorrow in the afternoon with 4 foot seas. Northern Cook Inlet, southwest at 15, seas running about 3 feet. 10-knot winds from the south-southwest for Cook Inlet on Monday, 2 to 3 foot seas. Kamishak Bay staying light, southeast 15. Barren Islands, south at 15. North Gulf Coast, west-southwest winds, 10 knots, 4 foot seas. Light variable winds for Prince William Sound, maybe west at 10 knots, otherwise seas staying slight. And for Kodiak Island, variable winds 10 knots tomorrow, 3 to 5 foot seas. And for Bristol Bay, east at 10. Otherwise, the Alaska Peninsula, more of a breeze coming in with that front getting a little closer and the low pulling northeastward toward the Fox Islands. So southeasterlies, small craft advisories of the Pacific side of the peninsula coming up to 25 knots. And then for Monday, even an increase in the winds a little more. Southeast 25 to 30 knots for the Alaska Peninsula, seas as high as 8 feet, 20 knot easterlies for Bristol Bay. And Kodiak Island, east to south winds 10 to 15 knots there with 3 to 4 foot seas. And taking a look out in the Aleutians, for the western Aleutians, west of Adak to Shemya, northwest 15 knots, Adak and Atka, north to northwest at 15 knots, 3 to 5 foot seas. Small craft advisories for the Fox Islands, wind southeast at 25 to 30 knots, seas running right around 6 feet. And then for Monday, On Alaska Island, easterlies 15 to 25 knots. Still some small craft advisory action going there, but Sunamac Island northwest at 20, seas 7 to 8 feet. Adak northwest 25 knots, and Amchitka southwest at 20, and then east 25 for Kiska, Shemia, and at 2. And for Sunday, for the southwest coast, looking at south to southeast winds at 20 knots, 4-foot seas, southeast 20 St. Lawrence Island with 4-foot seas. Small craft advisories for St. Matthew Island, seas running 5 feet, and for the Pribilofs, southeast winds at 20 knots. Even lighter winds in store for St. Paul and St. George on Monday with winds 10 knots from the southeast, seas 5 feet or less. St. Matthew Island, northwest at 15. Yukon Kuskokwim Delta Coast, Nunivak Island, small craft advisories, southeast winds 25 knots, 6 to 8 foot seas. And up along the Arctic coast, east side, northeast tomorrow, 10 to 15 knots, central coast and the western coast as well, east at 15, and then light winds south of Cape Thompson to Wales, east at 10. And then for the outlook on Monday, we've got south to southeast winds, 20 knots from Wales to Cape Beaufort, southeast 20 western Arctic coast, turn east at 20 on the central coast, east at 15 for the eastern side. And for tonight, a weak trough brings a chance of moisture, keeps a chance of precipitation on the western, maybe central Arctic coast in the form of light rain, fog, or drizzle. Otherwise, dry for the north slope and eastern Arctic coast. Diminishing showers become almost non-existent toward morning over the eastern interior. High pressure, Bristol Bay light winds. Could be some fog and low clouds in the offshore areas. Dry for the panhandle, and that front, the central Bering Sea lifts to the Bering Strait, St. Lawrence Island, Bering Strait coast, Yukon Delta. Chance of rain, more rain with that next system there for the eastern Aleutians. And Monday, that rain area extends from the Alaska Peninsula all the way up to the western Arctic coast.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.